I hope you see something, ma'am and sirs. Meron ba kayong nakitang screen?
Meron po,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you, Ma'am Sonia, for the introduction. Good morning, parents. Good morning, learners. Good morning, fellow teachers. To the teachers around, allow me to address you all as fellow teachers, because that exactly is the identity that we hold dear in our lives. No wonder until today, we are still actively engaged in the ministry. Take note, it's a ministry, not just a job, but a ministry of teaching despite the difficulty brought about by the pandemic. As mentioned a while ago, my name is Arnold Aviles, and I am from Cebu. Kababayan ho ako ni Ma'am Sonia. We were classmates in high school. However, when I got married, I decided to settle in Binyan, Laguna, together with my family. By profession, I am not an educator simply because I am not an education graduate. However, by virtue of my experience, by virtue of my training, I must say I am an educator. I have been in San Beda College for 18 years already, 10 years in the high school department, and 7 years in the College of Arts, 8 years in the College of Arts and Sciences. Dear parents, learners, and fellow teachers, today we shall be talking about a very important aspect in our roles as parents, as learners, as teachers, and of course the topic is all about parental engagement in remote learning. Dear parents around, more than a collaborator of the school, you parents are the first teachers of your children. And that is something that we really have to adopt. That is why it is good to ask, how are we going to help each other in terms of assisting our children in their online class engagement or modular engagement? How can parents and teachers work together? This is not the time for us to point fingers at each other. Si teacher dapat o si parents dapat. We have to realize that we all have the responsibility. We are collaborators. We co-labor. Indeed, our first teachers are our first parents. And the very reason why I am here is simply because my parents were there for me to teach and to assist me in my formation as a student. They collaborated with the school where I studied. If we're going to look back at the history of our lives, we can also vividly see the engagement of our parents in our academic life when we were young. Dear parents and teachers, when we talk about parental engagement in remote learning, I want us to remember that if we have a curriculum in the school, we also have what we call curriculum of the home. What is the curriculum of the home? Of course, in school, if we have to implement a certain curriculum, we have our learning outcomes. The teachers know this. And when the child is enrolled in a particular program in school, the teachers already know what they are going to provide for the child to learn. The child follows through the curriculum, and the teacher is able to monitor the progress of the child. And of course, after taking the curriculum, we need to ask the questions, is the child able to comply with the requirements? Is the child able to perform and practice the skills expected of him or her? If the child cannot comply and perform and achieve the expected output, then he or she is expected to repeat the whole process. The curriculum of the home, dear parents and teachers, does not consist of subject matter, but this consists of patterns of habit formation and attitude development that prepare a child through the years of schooling. And studies have shown that these patterns of family life contribute to a child's ability to learn in school. According to research, the curriculum of the home or patterns identifiable at home are in fact even more important than the child's socioeconomic status. In a way, the child is able to overcome these external factors that impede one's climb to educational ladder or success because of a very supportive curriculum at home. So what comprises the curriculum of the home? Studies have positively linked certain positive practices with a child's success in academic learning. Unang-una, parent-child relationship. Pangalawa, routine of family life. Pangatlo, parent expectations and supervisions. Now, what is this parent-child relationship as part of the curriculum of the home? It actually answers the question, how do parents and children in the family interact? Dear parents, how do parents and children in the family interact? This is very important. Parent-child relationship is, take note, is in singular form here because each child has a different level of interaction with its and both parents. Although parents may say, I don't have a favorite child, or I treat my children fairly or treat them all the same, but the child's personality interacts with the parent's personality. And when these two are combined, it creates a different parent-child dynamic. So how do parents relate to their children and vice versa? How do children relate with their parents? Do you have daily conversations, or do you have conversations of the daily events, parents and children? Do you express affections? Or are you comfortable expressing affections? Iba-iba kasi ang style ng mga parents tungkol nito. There are parents who are overly strict and provide less warmth and affection. High control but low warmth. They are authoritarian parents. There are parents who have high warmth, high control. They have certain rules, restrictions, limitations for their child, but these restrictions are equally balanced by letting the child feel that they are loved and cared for by the parents. They are authoritative parents. There are parents who provide high warmth. They provide everything that the child wants, but low control. They are indulgent parents. Dear parents around, in terms of expressing affection, how is your warmth balanced with control? Then we proceed to the next part of the curriculum at home, which is routine of family life. Routine of family life, dear parents and teachers, answers the question, how does the family spend their time together? I would like to reiterate the question, how does the family spend their time together? In the routine of family life, somehow we can gauge or guess the economic status of the family based on their routines. Fellow teachers, when you check the child's activity, you well know how they are coping or how well they are doing in life. Then when the COVID-19 pandemic started, one of the important coping strategies we would always highlight in our mental health and psychosocial support is being able to establish a routine, because somehow when COVID hit us, our normal routines have been disrupted. A while ago, our first speaker, discussant, was saying you have to be able to schedule your moment in which you can rest. This is part of the routine that you are going to have during the pandemic. Okay? Our routines, the pre-pandemic routines, have been disrupted. For instance, I would like to give you an example. For my fellow teachers here, you could probably remember before the pandemic, in the morning, you woke up, you prepared for school, you went to work, you met your students, you discussed the lessons, you gave them seat works, you dealt with your colleagues, you worked on some important documents and papers, you did your lesson plan, then you go home, you went home and spent time with your family, you dealt with your own personal life, then the next day you wake up again to do the same routine. So if you have been teaching for more than a decade or two, you must say that your routine has been severely disrupted. The same is true with family life. For students, they have been used to preparing school, going to school, spending time with their teachers, friends, and classmates. Now that they spend time at home, so here the family dynamic is affected. If the parents are working or if they have little children at home to deal with, and now with another added burden because of additional schedule of online or modular classes of the children, then the routine can affect how the child is coping with distance learning. Do you have a routine that includes time to eat? Do you have a routine now that includes time to sleep, time to pray, time to work, time to study, time to read? Do you have a quiet place to study and read at home? Do you have a family interest, hobbies or games or activities or of educational value? The routine is very important, dear parents and dear teachers. Why do we need a routine? Because the daily lives of our students are disrupted. And so we need to make a structure for their lives at home. When we say, hi, good afternoon, then. When we say that students come to school to learn, indeed they are, because they have the potential to learn. What teachers do basically is to provide the structures for learning. For instance, Monday, we are going to study reading and writing. Tuesday, we're going to study science and math. For Wednesday, we're going to study values education and so on and so forth. Yun ang routine during the pre-pandemic time. Students come to school, prepared or not, to deal with whatever lessons their teachers are going to provide for them. Now that they are at home, the structures probably are absent. They don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. and prepare for breakfast and wait for their school service probably and go to school. They don't have to be at home by 5 in the afternoon. Here it is really a challenge then of the parents to provide the structures needed. Provide the structures needed. Because some students do not have the initiative to create their own structures. Some need others to create structures for them. So dear parents, you need to create a flexible routine and talk about how it's working over time. Children must be informed about this routine. They can discuss and agree with their parents about a meaningful offline activities together. This is part of the routine. Children should be involved in deciding how best to spend their time at home. Parents should not just tell their kids, here is your schedule for the academic year, and according to your teacher, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. No, from time to time, the parent must be working closely with the child to monitor if the routine is working. Again, being able to monitor the progress makes learning more personalized, and this is part of creating structures with your children at home. Okay, part of this is really to communicate with your children. Communicate and agree also with your children the kind of meaningful offline activities that you can do together, such as exercising, helping around the house, spending time with the family, playing, and so on and so forth. Dear parents, together with the kids, we can create a structure for them so that routines can be established. The third element in the curriculum of home that I would like to share with you is the parent expectations and supervisions. If teachers are expected to handle well the curriculum at school, it is also expected that parents should be able to handle the curriculum of the home. Any kind of family will have a positive or negative family relationship, or positive or negative parent expectations and supervision. So we are saying that if the curriculum of the home is positive, then any kind of impediment will be overcome by the child. And the child definitely moves towards the educational ladder of success. This gives us the message that the child will be able to succeed if the family is able to provide a very stimulating, learning-oriented environment. In the curriculum of the home, it is imperative that parents affirm one fact, that they have the responsibility to educate their children. What do I mean by this? That the primary educators of the children are the parents. The school is a collaborator of the task to educate. Therefore, parents, hello parents na nandito ngayon, make sure your child attends online regularly or your child is able to comply with the given printed materials by their teachers. Make sure that your child is able to show interest in what is being taught and learned at and communicate that education is really important. You know, in 1997, many years ago, high school pa kami, according to, no, di pala high school, graduate na. According to AdHealth study, children with strong emotional attachment to their parents and teachers are much less likely to engage in high-risk vices because of the influence of the parents and teachers. So this is a beautiful finding, that children with strong emotional attachment to their parents and teachers are much less likely to engage in high-risk vices because of the influence of their parents and teachers. I once had a talk with a parent in the school where I am working. She was once asked why her child was successful in school. Her response was simple. She said, I believe my child's success in school is directly related to my active involvement in his formal education. My child is emotionally stable, although the response, dear students and parents and teachers, was in the context of the face-to-face classroom instruction. I believe still the active personal or parental engagement in remote learning is a big factor in the learning experience of the child. What does research say about the effect of parental engagement? Titingnan natin yung mga resulta ng research, dear parents. Now, according to Garcia and Thornton, okay, current studies show that engagement of parents, okay, in learning results to, number one, helps improve students' performance. So kapag parents are directly engaged in the formation of the student, ito yung magiging reduces absenteeism. Learners with parents who are involved in learners' education earn grades and test scores, have better social skills, and show improved behavior. How do we define parental engagement? Well, when we talk about parental engagement, don't ever forget, parents here are directly involved in the education of their children. They must be hands-on in the learning process of their kids. They should know what is happening. Some parents are saying, basta i-enroll ko lang ang anak ko, bahala na kayo. This is not parental engagement. Some would say, di sayang naman ang bayad namin kung kami rin naman pala ang magtuturo. This is not a good expression of parental engagement. Some parents would say because of work, they simply left their kids with the nannies or the dayaya, simply leaving them there. Well, this is not parental engagement. Okay? Parental engagement also means that parents are involved to address the needs of the kids. Okay? They involve themselves in the learning process of their children. Read with the children, therefore. If there's a need to dance with your kids, dance with your kids. Okay? By all means, do what your kids are doing just to be able to facilitate learning. Parental engagement also means that they fulfill their duties as parents, okay? Making sure that learners or their kids are assisted in the process of learning, okay? So there are actually benefits of parental engagement to teachers. Ano yung mga benefits nito? This has 3 benefits for teachers. Number 1, increase knowledge which enables teachers to be more effective and with its child. Fellow teachers working with parents who are directly involved in the education of their children will eventually increase our knowledge because of the parents can give suggestions and recommendations. They can tell about their kids kung ano ang stage of learning and development ng kanilang kids. So they can really help the teachers. Positive feedbacks which increase their own feelings of competence in their profession. So napaka-importante ito. Now, what are the tips to encourage parental engagement in remote learning? What are the tips? Now, teachers and parents should change their perspective towards parental engagement. As I mentioned a while ago, this is not the time to point fingers against each other. We need to really embrace this reality of the pandemic, that this is a totally different and difficult time. Therefore, there's a need to collaborate. There's a need to help one another. Kailangan nating magtulungan para sa bata. Teachers cannot say, I don't need the idea of the parents. We cannot say, I know better because this is my craft. Hey, let us change our perspective because we do not have the monopoly of knowledge. Parents can help us too in the process of learning. At the same time, parents should also acknowledge the fact that online class cannot and will never be successful without the engagement of parents. That the engagement of parents is not just to pay the tuition fee or kung nagbabayad man. What is the solution here? Well, change perspective. Adopt the perspective of collaboration. Adopt the perspective of teamwork for the success of the kids. Some parents are also new to the online class setup. So proper and clear orientation should be done. Through these orientations and constant dialogue with parents, gradually things will become clear for them. Communicate clearly how the school and its personnel will handle the new mode of learning and how the parents can contribute greatly to the success of the child's educational formation via online or modular engagement. Number 3, boost the confidence of our parents and remove their anxiety. Lead them, guide them, be there every step of the way.